And welcome to episode 5 of the STARFISH Diaries. We just calculated number 5, half a century. No? That's not
High five.
No, nearly. Should we just go out again? Start?
No.
Okay. I'm Al White. I'm a writer-director. This is my friend Nate, who is helping me with my first feature film.
Indeed, I'm a co-producer. I'm also going to AD. Talk about that little bad boy later.
And for the first time on our show, we have a new guest in Tamara Oshida, who's my business partner, my dear friend.
Konnichiwa.
And what are you going to be doing on the film?
On the film,
Yeah.
I'll help out where I can, basically.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
You're a producer.
I will act if I must.
If you must. under great duress.
Yes.
So this is our show, Starfish Diaries. We're making our first feature film. It's called Starfish. It's an independent feature film. And we thought we would chronicle the experience over the year, hopefully just the year, it takes to go through pre-production, actual production, post-production, and having a pretty much finished product that's going to festivals and trying to get distribution, if anybody's interested. And if not, it's a document for ourselves, so we can reflect later on the mistakes we made in life.
And this itself, in doing these videos, might very well be a mistake that we learn later.
It's true. It's true. The amount of people who might work on this film when they watch these won't work on the film anymore.
Interesting.
Actually, yeah, let's stop. Let's not do the next one.
In fact, you know what? Let's just...
This is our last episode of Starfish Diaries, so enjoy it. So we did one actually last week. So we normally do these every other Monday. We had one last week. We missed a Monday, so we decided we'd do 3 in a row to catch up on everything. So we have less to talk about than normal because it's only been about 6-7 days. But we have some other stuff we want to talk about. But first of all, Nate,
Yeah.
you want to guide us through?
Well, why don't we start, I think, with our favorite subject, casting.
We haven't talked about casting before. What?
No.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd as always, we can't get into too many of the specifics of it.
Yeah.
But I thought we could open it up. Tenero, I don't know if you know, but he's a pretty big deal. So he's been definitely
Big
casted.
dealing what? I mean,
Just generally.
In your feeling.
So we can talk to him about casting, UK, LA, Japan. But let's start with just a quick general safe recap of where we are now.
Okay.
Al.
Am I too close to you? Is this okay?
No, I like it when you're this close.
Good.
Further away, I feel nervous.
I'm feeling comforted.
Okay, good.
Not that it's not hot enough anyway. I don't need extra body heat right now. It's really fucking hot in LA. Casting, yeah, I'm not allowed to talk about too much of it, again, for all the right reasons. But we are literally, and I might be looking at my phone every now and then throughout this. No, not yet.
Nothing's happened.
But we're waiting right now for potentially a call or an email that will give us confirmation that we have managed to be done with a very important part of casting, which then next week we'll be able to talk about. I hope
that we get a great email during this.
If it happens during, because I will. When you guys are talking, I'm just
amazing
going to keep turning
thing.
away. So if that happened, that would be to capture that moment would be nice.
Again, we're talking about the lead role.
Yes.
Other casting is happening for all of the other roles, but that's not until later.
Not until September.
I'm playing all the other roles.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, we're not getting into the other roles until September when you're closer to filming. There's a lot of reasons to do that, but mostly it's just because, particularly if you want cool people, weirdly it's easier to get them when they're closer to dates because then they're just, I'm not doing anything in a couple of months' time, or I've got that space. Whereas if you are kind of scale, which is very low budget, and you're saying, hey, can we book you for 9 months out? No,
Yeah.
I'm not going to commit to something that's more fun.
Yeah.
But if they get to that point, then maybe. We will see what happens during the podcast. If nothing does, we'll talk about casting
Good.
next week. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so then let's just talk generally.
But yeah, this is the thing. Like Tamro has been an actor for many years. I mean, you've been an actor as well, so you can you're both still are actors. To varying degree. Well, you're pretending to be happy right now, so you're acting well.
Oh, indeed.
Well, yeah.
But Tamro especially, you have a lot of experience in the UK, US, and Japan.
Yeah.
So we thought it might be interesting for anyone who's watching, might be, because they've heard a little bit. The problem is we can't talk too much about the process I've been exposed to here in Hollywood.
Yeah.
For weird reasons. But it might be interesting to hear some of your experiences as someone who's been in all those different fields, because people might be making their first feature film. It might not be in America. It could be in England. It could be in Japan. It could be somewhere completely different. Are there big differences in how it's approached from continent to continent?
Japan's completely different, that's for sure, because it's a kind of like a small island, just far east. It really is, and they work in a very different way. So that's just that. UK and US quite similar. In fact, I think it's pretty much the same, to be honest.
Is it more relaxed in the UK, or is it as regimed as it is over here, do you find?
I don't really, because most of the films I've been involved in are sort of the UK US film. It's not just US. Or
Yeah.
I've been in one European film, but that was pretty much the same as well. So yeah, it's I think it's the same.
Very similar. I mean, obviously different big casting directors on different sides.
Yeah, exactly.
You have the different casting dynasties.
Talking of the sort of timing of it, for example, I once did this film that was shooting in South Africa. I auditioned for it. I self-taped for it like 2-3 months ago. Then I heard nothing for like the duration of, I think it was like 3 months. Then out of nowhere, I get this phone call from my manager saying that I might have this role. And then we weren't sure. We were talking about the payment, the contract, the dates. And I get the confirmation on Friday. I was in Japan at that time. And they wanted me to be in Johannesburg by the following Monday. So that can happen. And also when I did another big film that was UK-US production, I found out that I got the role about 2-3 weeks beforehand. So yeah, like for me, it's very natural to sort of get the very last minute phone calls. And that's mainly why a lot of Japanese actors cannot work in foreign films, because Japan, they plan things by like 3 months at least ahead of the time. Like 6 months most of the time. So you cannot often some Japanese actors would sort of commit to one project in Japan, but then all of a sudden when you get a phone call from Steven Spielberg, for example, then what do? Like you cannot really turn down Spielberg, but you cannot really turn down the Japanese job. So that's where they fall into.
Okay, so it's hard to know with booking exactly.
That's why we don't see many Japanese actors in Hollywood.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons. I think sadly there's some worse reasons.
Like for example, Ken Watanabe, he really wanted to do both, but he's finding it hard. And the huge reason for that is this.
Is that scheduling,
the timing is just too different.
I mean, that's definitely something I found is people tend to, the higher scale and the higher people you go in with, the more last minute everything is. Which for me is, so I'm way more of the Japanese thinking like, oh, well, we're 5 months out now from shooting Starfish, and I'm looked at as a bit weird when I say to people when we're shooting and we know we want to cast right now before I go back to England and I won't be here for a bit, otherwise we'd have to start again in September. Which for me is way too close. And I was like, well, I want to lock it in now because I want to know and I want to plan around them and I want to work with them, whether it's remotely or in person. That's really, really important to me. The idea of casting people that close is, to me as a director, terrifying.
And because it's such an essential ingredient to your film in particular, a lot of other creative decisions will
revolve around the aesthetic and
Yeah.
so many things that a certain actor might give to a role.
Right.
Well,
I mean, like for the lead roles, they often know it like 2 years in advance because they've booked them
or pre-signed or
exactly.
Because sometimes you can even get someone signed on before you get money
investment.
Which happens quite often. We're actually looking at doing that at the moment with our next project.
I've had that several times as well.
Have you? Well, it's that real chicken and egg thing. So how does that contract, if you're allowed to talk about it, maybe not, how do those contracts look to you in terms of because you can't lock in, obviously, on a particular date because you've no idea when you're shooting. You can't also say, I'm 100% doing this project because you don't know what's going to happen with it. So how does that look in a contractual form of saying, hey, we want your name because we know we want you and having your name is going to help us raise some more money?
From my personal experience, it's often just verbal contract. Unless it's a big production, and you would have a written
Like a consent
written
form
agreement, and which often comes with a payment.
Okay.
So,
To secure within a bracket of time. So it's kind of like buying an option almost. Within a bracket of time, our intention is to make this film if we can raise the money, but then here's the contract. Okay. Because we're about to have to get into that stuff.
There's a lot of different ways that you can say that you have an actor on board. I know that from a recent class that I took, that a lot of times producers, in order to raise money, need to say that they've gotten these different kinds of agreements from different actors. And oftentimes they'll use a verbal agreement as a kind of like, okay, we got a verbal agreement that this actor will be in this film if we can raise this much money to get people and potential investors excited. But legally, it's very thin. Very thin.
Yeah.
Like
legally, you're literally saying, hey, look, all these cool people we've got. You should give us, X amount of money. And then they can give you the money, and everyone drops out. And it's.
If we're talking about just one or two lead actors we really want, then we can schedule the shooting around their availability.
Absolutely.
But that's not always the case.
So can you tell us very quickly, just then, because you said Japan's very different how it does the casting. You explained about the scheduling a little bit at the time, but is there anything else just with the process that's different?
It's the process, like there aren't many sort of auditions and castings. It's very dominated by the managing companies. So the managers have so much power, and they would sort of be asked to give some options, and one manager might say, what about this person? But in order to take this person, you have to take this younger person too. So there's a lot of that. I don't really know personally, and I don't really want to get into it, but it's just very different world. And often because the Japanese management companies are so huge in their power, it's not just about casting, it also comes often down to the payment of like investment, so we will invest in this production, therefore use my actor.
Oh, I see.
That often happens as well.
I see.
Well, so they're really just used as a commodity, essentially. Rather than having an individual who's kind of picking people to represent and fight their battles for them, it's really kind of like, here's an entity and it buys commodities and then utilizes them.
It almost sounds like an earlier form of like how the studio system ran in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's
in a weird way.
That's exactly how it is.
Right?
Because actors could only work with these studios and they weren't allowed to work with other
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a more modern form of that I know happening with certain agencies, right? Like the better agencies. I remember this from when we were looking at agents. Like, it's like an agent will be more willing to go to bat for your production when talking to their client if you said all these different roles on your roster will also go, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes obvious sense, and I think a lot of people already know that, but worth mentioning.
When you say to bat, is that a baseball analogy or a cricket analogy?
You don't hear that? Like to go to bat? To go to bat for a friend?
I just want to know which one you're going with.
I mean, I always imagine a baseball bat.
Oh, okay. Do you reckon you need baseball with cricket bat?
Al, stop it.
I'm just thinking.
Stop.
Got to think out the box, mate.
Baseball bat is one word, is right? But and on the other hand, cricket bat is formulated with 3 pieces of wood.
I believe so.
Yeah.
2 wings and basically a rat in the middle. with fangs.
Yeah. So you've seen cricket?
Yes.
All right. So let's move on from casting then.
Yeah.
Okay. What's next?
Well, let's just really briefly touch base on scheduling and location scouting and stuff. I know we're headed. We're all going to be in Colorado.
We're leaving. What day do we are on?
We're leaving like
28th.
5 days, I think.
So 29, 31, 2, 3, 4. We're leaving just over a week, basically.
Yeah.
We're leaving. We're all scheduled out now, basically. We're all kind of booked in where we're going in Colorado, the places we're looking at. We're getting an itinerary so we know exactly where to hit up. And like we said last week, it's kind of tough because we've got a short amount of time to like 10 days, essentially, to find locations and then try and tech scout locations, which means not just finding this looks like a good town, this looks like a nice area, really nailing down exact locations, as many as possible. Obviously, we won't get them all done, but this is our one trip to Tech Scout with our DP, Alberto,
Yeah, the
who comes
DP is
in
coming.
a week today or yesterday or
We-
something.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, we need to utilize that time as well as we can. We won't get everything done, but we'll get a lot of it done.
Yeah, we should. Which
I'm really excited about, because if we get this cool and it's good,
Yeah.
and if we then get that sorted, you know, in the next
Yeah.
couple of weeks, then we're in a good position. 5 months out from shooting.
Just gotta keep going.
Well, there's no other choice.
Yeah.
We're really too far in by this point, Nate.
Yeah.
When was the last time you worked with Alberto, our DP?
Alberto, I mean, it was at least 3 years ago. I think
Yeah,
it
at
was
least 3
more,
years, right?
a little bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
It's been a while. I'm really looking forward to working with him again.
I
He's done some
think therefore
exceptional-
it's kind of nice to sort of get together again, spend
yeah,
2
time,
weeks just, you know.
yeah, learning to hate each other.
Exactly, yeah.
People should go to his website, Alberto Benares, which is spelled Banares. If I could be bothered, I'll put that up right here. Did you notice last week what I did at the end?
Oh, you did. You put. Did you put a link to my?
No. I put it up, and then you said like you did it. Said I'm going to put it over your face, and I put it up over your face.
I don't watch these things.
You just live them.
Yeah, I live them. I'm here to give advice, but you know,
Not to reciprocate.
I'll let Tanro watch them.
Yeah, well,
I'll one view. So yeah, we're in good stead. I think.
Cool, man.
Yeah, but go
Yeah.
to his website.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. He's got loads
Yeah.
of great content on that website.
Talented man.
He's a very talented man. So Nate, I've got a question for you. So you've mentioned a few times on this podcast that you're producing, you're helping out in many ways, and when it comes to shooting, you're probably going to be my first AD.
Probably. Is there a question?
We'll see how it goes.
Oh.
So I thought some people, now most people watching this were involved with the film industry, they know what an AD is, so I don't want to bore everyone. Or
Yeah.
But some people genuinely, who I know who watch this, might not know exactly what an AD's jobs are, and particularly on this kind of project where you're probably going to have to wear more hats than you normally would.
Yeah.
But other aspects are simpler because locations down, crews, cast is down, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what's that going to mean for you, doing an AD job on this? Like what kind of stuff are you going to handle?
Well, on this specifically, I'm going to make sure that everyone knows exactly what the day is going to be. And not only what their day currently is going to be, and how it might change throughout that shooting day, but also how the next day is going to look. So it's basically the key function of an AD is to make sure that everyone always knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And it can be so chaotic during a production, and there are so many moving parts that function of making sure that everyone knows what's going on, and the other key function is that you make sure that your day, which is also an organizational function. So it becomes a very technical job, and a very difficult job because of the stresses of production, and because it's a creative process, it can be very difficult to keep everyone on the same page, keep everyone on board, keep everyone happy and feeling good, and that's
And you're normally
a
most
nutshell.
people's least favorite person on set.
Generally,
well, I don't know though.
Quite often.
Yeah, quite often.
Particularly on a small scale film. On a large scale film, the producer might be because he's going to be walking in.
you know, people love to hate the AD.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
I've been on sets where it's like everyone hates the AD, but like I felt at the same time that like everyone like kind of loves the AD too, because it's like
it's kind of tough love, isn't it?
yeah, if you can do it right
Yeah.
and like you get people to work hard and push people when they need to be pushed, but not too much, and like I think there's a kind of balance there, and it's really, I think the reason why I think that I personally am a good AD is because I feel like I'm good at like reading how people are feeling.
Yeah.
And I think that like
What am I feeling now?
you're tired. Just got back from Japan.
That was good, AD.
Well, thank you.
Well, for me, good AD is somebody sort of people on the set. Like there are things you can be very stressed about, but when there's a good AD, you sort of do your job for him. It's not for the director usually. It's for the good AD. Like you want to
make
make him or her happy.
Yeah.
You want to make everything not fall to pieces. Like you want to like be a part of the coherency of the set.
Yeah.
And the AD is really that point where you can see when it's falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's so important when you're ADing to always be working under, and I think I'm a reasonably good AD. I've worked with incredible ADs and they exemplify this, which is that they're always like where you need to be emotionally in order to get your day. It's like when the crew is most tired, that's when the AD has to come with the most freshness and the most love and like
and also what's also important is the relationship with the director. When you don't have the time for one more take, how do you tell, or can you let the director take the one more take but then compromise later? And
so I think that's something that you need to like build, and you need to know beforehand. You need to have a discussion, because that can change, I think, from director to AD, you know, on different projects. For me personally, I like an AD who's going to kick my ass a little bit, you know, who's going to be like, you know, we're running out of time here, you're going to have to cut this shot or whatever. But then I can understand, you know, we can have a relationship where I can, okay, I've taken that on board, now shut up. And I'll like, you know, sacrifice this, or that I know, like, I don't like someone to be constantly bothering, so then you're panicking and you can't do a good shot. But I like to have someone who's brutal you know, about stuff.
Which is my favorite part of ADing, because it's the most creative part. It's the it's the part where you're like, you see the schedule and you know what's important to that director's vision. You have to. And therefore you need to assess, like for instance, if there's an insert and you're on take 14 and it's a simple insert and you know it's not crucial to the, well, it may be crucial, but it's not maybe a certain thing that's trying to be accomplished
it's not
on the 18th
as crucial
take.
as something else.
So that's when,
can you punch in on that shot in post? Can you just cut it out completely?
And I know from directing that it can be so enticing. You can be like, oh, but if I could just get that shadow right, that little insert would just look so cool. And time is clicking by, and you know you've got that really important close-up or that scene later on. And like, that's when I've worked with ADs that are good, they step up and they're like, Nathan, we've got to move. Like you gotta, we've done this 4 times. Like one more take, that's it. Like I don't care, we got to go.
But I think that's why this one in particular is going to be interesting, because in some ways it's easier. There's less people to communicate with. Our crew's very small. Our cast is incredibly small most of the time. A lot of the time just one person. But then there's a lot of flexibility, you know, which is good because we can move quicker, but it also can slow things down in other ways. And then there's the unpredictable stuff of, you know, we need certain, like there'll be snowstorms at certain points during our shoot. There just will be in the places that we're shooting. And some days for us that's going to be amazing, and they won't be the scheduled days.
You
so this is stuff I've had to already talk to Alberta of, like we have to wake up and be, oh fuck, all right, there was a snowstorm today, guess what, today we're doing that outside shot instead, because this looks perfect for that, and immediately have the backup plan to switch it all around and, you know, incorporate different stuff and be flexible with it. And I also think the AD shares a thing with the director in terms of, whenever I talk to people about directing stuff, I would say honestly it's the easiest job in the entire world. Like it really is, as long as A, you have a vision, and B, no matter how it's going on a day on set, you can convince everyone around you that it's going okay. You have to be able to like have 4 people talking to you, give them all answers. Maybe one of those answers was the wrong thing. Talk to your AD and say, can you actually go correct? But everyone else feels like it's all under control, everything's fine. Because no one wants to be on a set where you feel like people don't know what they're doing. There's nothing worse than being on a set and a director or the AD look confused or look like, you know,
I had one AD who's just lost it one day.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, did you know, a little bit of trivia, that they did a huge poll about lifespans? And the AD is supposed to have the shortest lifespan of any other.
No surprise, actually.
Do you know, like AD is like the average lifespan of an AD is like 61 or something.
No way.
That's why you don't see many old ADs.
Yeah, I mean they're unionizing. I mean there's already a union. I think it's part of the Directors Guild. That is, but it's new. So a lot of times the AD, like, because you'll finish a shooting day, brutal, fucked up shooting day, and then the AD has to figure out the schedule for the next day. So that's why, I mean, I've AD'd many times, and I agreed to AD for Al, but that's why I'm kind of transitioning out of it, because
you don't want to die.
Well, I don't want to die. I mean, I honestly, like, you can, after a shoot, like after I have AD to shoot, like I feel like I've given literally like every drop, and then you're like back in LA and you're like, I need to play NBA 2K for the next week or else I'm gonna just. Okay.
I wonder who's got the longest lifespan in that chart.
Actors.
I don't know. I feel like it's the AC. No, yeah, probably actors. Yeah.
Wait.
No.
Checking both. Checking text? No. If it's bad news when it comes through during this, I'm gonna be. It's not gonna be fun. I'm gonna walk off. So last thing then.
Yeah.
Again, not really necessarily to do with Starfish, but we thought we'd talk about a different theme. We're gonna get into like there's a lot to talk about with festivals, to do with post, to do with distribution, to do with effects, sound design, all this stuff. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Because now it's not as prevalent. I think what's really important at this stage is another point where you might be saying, well, what format am I shooting with? How am I going to make this film? How much is that going to cost me? When is it worth sacrificing, equipment for flexibility? Or, is it better to put your money into this or that or whatever?
Yeah, sure.
And we talked about it a little bit, I think, last week when we were talking about writing, and I was saying important to me is like music's important, something to put money into.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to hammer it home this week. What do each of us feel is important for where your finances to go. If you're making an independent film, you have limited finances.
You're talking about gear, right?
I'm talking about gear in particular.
Yeah.
But you can talk broadly in terms of like, is gear the most important thing to put your finances into? At what point does it stop being important to you, and actually it's better to have low quality gear or mid-tier gear,
better catering,
better.
Well, we joke about it, but
Swimming.
It is important because that's one time you feel sort of happy and like that's a time you can rest. And when you have a good catering, the set can be quite stressful. Therefore, like when you have good food, then that changes everything.
It does.
It really does.
No, it does. And
or
just
like
environment and
those
stuff.
snacks in between takes, like very cold day.
What kind of snacks are we talking about?
I don't know, but like I often am on set when it's really cold, for some reason, really hot or really cold. Like, so for example, when I was shooting in Netherlands, it was raining, very cold, and it was night shoot, like 4 o'clock in the morning. Everyone's tired, and we knew that we've got 2 more shots to do, and we were very tired and stressed, and the people are starting to sort of shout at people. But then in comes this really good hot soup. That just changes everything.
Hey, hot soup. How you doing?
It's so important.
Have a spoonful of this.
No, it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Totally.
All right, so not camera.
Soup.
Thing to Tamro.
So,
Nate, what's important to you with gear? What's important to you with where the money goes on a small production?
well, if it's super indie, it's sound design, and sound recording.
It's often forgotten.
Often forgotten.
Yeah.
If it's bigger and the sound is gonna be, you have enough money, you're gonna get a good recording, and you're gonna have, if we're talking at a different, more like your scale. Lenses. I think I almost, if you have lighting, lenses. If you don't have lighting, that's when the camera body becomes more, or if you have a skeletal lighting situation, that's when the camera body becomes more important and the color correction becomes more important. Other gear, obviously, like there's the essential stuff: C-stands, diffusion. People, we could talk for ages about camera moves, like easy rig.
But these are the questions in
sliders,
terms of all the different things you can do. Like people love Steadicam, people love easy rig. There's a new one. There's like an extension to the Steadicam now, which makes it smoother even.
Oh, really?
It's really cool.
I haven't seen that.
There's sliders on rails on there's so many different things you can do, and at some point you have to ask yourself, like, it's time, money, more grip, which are essentially the people who have to be the muscles on set, essentially, and move everything around. Like, it's, you decide, I just really need rails. The rails aren't that expensive, really, normally, to rent.
No.
But all the stuff that goes around that in terms of how much time that costs you, how much space you need to actually use them, any repairs you might do if you get it on the wrong flooring, like matting you got to
baby
put down.
powder.
People actually moving it back and forth. It's a massive amount of money in the end.
Yeah, and it requires a baller key grip who just can make shit happen, you know?
Yep. So what for you then, for you personally, with cameras, where's the line for you that you would rather be like, you know what, I'd rather have, and you can be as specific as you want, this camera and have these toys to go with it? Or would you rather have like this, you know, like a Alexa, but no rails, no whatever, you know, like...
It's tough, man. It really depends on the project.
Yeah,
like,
I bet.
if it's a scene where it's the acting, that's the most important thing. I would rather, and like, say there's like a really important moment, like say you're shooting Festin, and you're at that table, right, where like the big discovery comes out.
Yeah.
Like, I want 3 cameras.
Yeah.
I would rather 3 7Ds than 1 Alexa, because I know like the framing is super important, but if I don't get that moment, like in that actor, nothing else matters. So like, it all depends on the thing. Like if I'm shooting a landscape, like I want to shoot it on a big 6K thing. If it's landscape driven, you know, one thing on the indie side that people like, I would rather have a fucking great reliable tripod than like, I don't know. Well, no, actually, I would probably rather have a big camera, but than something else.
The size doesn't matter.
I just want a big camera. Monitors.
Monitor.
Director's monitors, man. Fuck. I mean, look, I want to hear about you, but I personally, like, if I'm directing something and I can't fucking see it, it's so hard. I need to be able to fucking see what I'm doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I can't comfortably see a performance, then it's like, how can I make it better? Like, how could I? Like, I don't know. So to me, monitors are really important. Reliable remote monitors, like, oh God. Anyway, that's my spiel.
No,
how about you? What are your priorities?
So
and there's no right and wrong, right?
No, there
It's
isn't
just
right and
like,
wrong. It's just down to thought. So my school has always been come from. I'm kind of the opposite from you in many ways. Like, I like being a bit uncomfortable. That's important to me. I liked either DPing my own stuff, or when I have a DP, being right over his shoulder a lot. I don't like setup times at all. I don't like anything that gets between me and the creativity or something. I'd rather spend time on, you know, framing, sure, working with the actor. Like, they're the important things for me. And if I'm doing it, DPing it myself, it's only, you know, like it's a lot more gratifying for me, actually. Like, it doesn't become as good a product, which I'm very excited to have Alberto on this, but I find it way more exciting to be DPing my own stuff, even though it's exhausting and a lot of work. And when I look at a lot of my very favorite small budget films, like Monsters, like Blue Ruin, and things like that, they was always, the director was the DP and he was on, you know, the camera, because you just move like that. You don't need a second monitor. You don't need to set up that. You don't need to move this. Neither of those films really had any lights as well, you know, like, it's all like natural stuff. And they both use prosumer cameras, not even like great cameras. And in the case of Monsters, they didn't even use, you know, great lenses, you know, so it's breaking kind of all the rules where normally you would be, well, if you don't have this, have this. If you don't have this, have, you know, you need one or the other. We have, like, this is the Dragon again, which is what we're shooting on, and we've got a bunch of great lenses, which are the super speeds.
Very adaptable, right?
CP2 super speeds.
Yeah.
So I get these because I like shooting a lot of natural light stuff, and these are very good for natural light. Like, they open up nice and wide. And they're very flexible like that, which I love. But honestly, you know, when we talked about it, I would rather just think, I shoot a lot with the C300 myself. I would rather have 3 C300s, not on set. I like shooting only with one camera. But I would rather have a bunch of those than the Dragon in many ways, but you're not taking it seriously. You know? Like this, I know, like, people take us more seriously when we go out shooting with the Dragon. But for me personally, to have the ND filters built into the C300, to have all the things that I want.
You can move so much faster, way more adaptable.
Like, and I get it, like, Alberto, if you're watching this, he's crying right now. Because he wants, like, all these rotating, like, filters and all this stuff. And those are the minutiae of details that make something really beautiful. Like, really beautiful and wonderful. And that's what I want for this film. But for me, a lot of the time, I would rather have the energy, and I'd rather have the fluidity, and I'd rather have the ease of just shooting I love, we shot stuff just on the 5D. I think, like you're saying, like those cameras can do incredible stuff.
Oh man,
like they really can. And my big rule, and I have to have rules that I try and remind myself with, but my big rule is there is nothing cheaper than a film that is cheap trying to look expensive. Like films for me, like trying to go out of their reach, look fucking awful to me, and it's something that I'm always wary of. So like me knowing, well, we have a limited budget for this. We could spend a bunch of that on getting cool, smooth moves and stuff like that. I used to shoot everything just handheld because I loved everything just handheld. Now I'm finding the balance between moving back and forth of what I personally like to tell my story. And I would love one day to just, get to use loads of rails and stuff and have like a very elegant movie where there's not much handheld unless it's neat, as long as the story makes sense for that, obviously. But me trying to do it at this scale makes my movie look cheap because I feel like there's a level of stuff that if you put it into your movie, as an audience, your expectation is for certain other things to come with that, if you know what I mean. There's a level of when you have a smooth like track shot moving down a hallway or something.
The lighting
like
has to be perfect.
Yeah, the audience is expected, the finesse of this movement normally comes with the finesse of a million other things. Whereas if I have like a handheld shot and it looks guerrilla and indie, you can accept it as beautiful for what it is, which is this guerrilla indie thing,
Right.
So like you take those template of those films I'm talking about, you look at Monsters, didn't use a tripod once, everything's handheld in that film. Looks gorgeous. Does it look gorgeous in the same way as a Stanley Kubrick film looks gorgeous? No. But it's a different type of gorgeous.
Yeah. Are you saying that things need to be coherent?
I'm just saying it's important for you to know your place and to embrace other aspects that can bring production budget up.
Yeah.
Like if Monsters had used sliders and had used tracks and had used Steadicam, it would have looked like a much cheaper film. It really would have. Because he embraced the indie of it and went handheld with it, it allowed then, they just then spent more money on the effects and stuff.
And that worked with the story as well.
Yeah, in a sense. So like, it gave a breadth of production value in a different way rather than crew production value, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's so interesting that you say that because it's like people often, especially in LA, you can get these like gearhead types who it's like they just love talking specs, and I think that's really cool as a hobby. But it's not as essential as what you're saying, which is matching your production and your tools to the inherent essence of what it is that you're making.
Yeah.
So it's like, exactly. It's like, well, what are the differences in feeling between an Alexa and between the Dragon? Like what? Okay, there's that question.
To the majority of people, nothing.
Yeah.
To us, quite a lot.
Yeah.
The Alexa is the Alexa, if you don't know it, the Alexa is the best digital camera out there, bar none. Now, people argue for other stuff, but they're lying. It's the best one.
Because of the quality of the noise.
It handles, particularly light. It handles light, both fluorescent and daylight light so well. Even the Dragon's getting better. That was a better sensor, but Red doesn't handle it as well. And for people like us and for cinematographers, it's painful sometimes. To the 99% of viewers that could not give a shit won't notice a difference whatsoever. It's your storytelling and how you're handling it. There are subconscious things it's rarely to do. Rarely to do with the quality of the imagery. Very rarely to do. As films like 28 Days Later prove, which looks like a piece of shit through the quality of the imagery, but the directing and the acting is fantastic. I just feel it's really like I've watched a billion films, and I'm really into genre film. I've watched so many films, and it's why so many science fiction films and horror films look tacky, is because they're trying to not look tacky so desperately that they look worse. And you watch them and you just think, oh, man, like why didn't they shoot this right? Like I could have shot this so much better for the same money. Just take it off the sticks, take it off the Steadicam, take it off this, like approach it in the way that is appropriate to the budget that you have, and allow your audience to embrace that indie side of it, and it can look fleshed out and full and rich and like a real world that has production value in a different way, because you can't compete. You can't compete with 20, 30, 100, 150 million dollar budgets. And I hate people trying to chase that. I hate people trying, I'm just going to do this and this and it'll make my film look cool. It's like, no, you'll never compete. You'll look like a tacky version of that.
You know what? It's so interesting that you say that. I have a good friend, Alexander Tovar, who's mostly a composer, but he's also a filmmaker, and he's made these two crazy features, both completely starring him in every scene.
Nice.
And he's kind of like, he's obsessed with Woody Allen, so he's kind of like this Woody Allen figure, except he wants to be about LA in the way that a lot of Woody Allen's films are about New York, or specifically Manhattan. And everyone always says how beautiful his films look. To any filmmaker, and I think Alexander would admit this, they look fucking awful. I mean, there's no lighting. Oh, fuck. I shouldn't have said that. But I mean, they're charming, good movies, and people love them because they're funny, but they're shot on a 7D, and he didn't have lights, and he didn't bounce light. He didn't do anything.
Just from a practical point of view.
But people still feel like they look beautiful because, exactly like you said,
they're embracing the NMC and the restrictions.
It is what it is. Yeah. And it was 20, 30, whatever. It was like very cheap, and it was, Yep. So anyway.
No,
good point, man.
I mean, that's for me personally. I like that people disagree, but for me, it's something to keep your ego in check with what you're trying to accomplish. Because, sure, everyone wants to make a big, cool Hollywood movie, or most people do. Maybe you get to do that later.
Yeah.
Trying to do it now, and when you're doing an independent thing, it's like, don't do that. You have strengths as an independent filmmaker that they don't have with all the toys. So my personal opinion is embrace those strengths that you have that they're not going to be brave enough to do. And if you're lucky enough to get to the point where you're offered that money, you probably won't be brave enough to do, because you'll be like, cool, now I can do all these things I always wanted to do, and you will lose something, because these films are very different from these films, and they're both very powerful mediums of storytelling. And I think to try and do both is a mistake, particularly from that way up. I think sometimes big films, as Christopher Nolan sometimes does it, and that's why he's a success. I think it's such a success. Is that he can, he got to that point and still managed to find a way to bring in some of the stuff that's, great about independent filmmaking in terms of technique.
For me, I don't care what the gear is being used. As long as I look good, I don't care what.
Well, then you're fine, because you always look good.
Makeup, man.
All right.
That didn't sound like a joke.
I think that's all we have to talk about.
Yeah, I think we've
talking of which,
said things we shouldn't.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, you can ask one question. Just one.
Yes. Close up first or wide shot first?
Interesting. I have an answer for this.
My answer is it depends. It depends on the scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually like the takes that I usually like, I'm gonna like in the first 3 or 4, and everything after that, it's technical.
Yeah.
But so if it's crucial that I get a really good reaction in the first moment, it's got to be the close up first.
Yeah.
If the scene, the crucial thing about the scene is the physicality, then I'll do the wide first. Well, it depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the light too.
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's you want to wait for a little bit, for that perfect moment of lighting to get the close up.
Yeah.
So there's no one answer.
Yeah.
Maybe there is.
No. For me, I was just thinking, because I used to have a definite answer. I was just thinking in my head if it had changed or not. But for me, it's just more about who it is, who the actor is, because and how much time you've had to spend with them. Because for me, a lot of the time, my productions, sadly had to be more rushed than I wanted them to be, and so we're still potentially having some new ideas or working on an emotional way to portray a scene when you're shooting it. So I would do the wide last, because I know we have nurturing time until we get to that point where I know the wide then can probably be done in one or 2 takes, because by that point I've warmed them up to the point I need them to be, and anything I want to change with them, I'll be able to change them. If they're, if we've had loads of rehearsal time and they're nailing it, then the first time, because you want to capture it when it's completely fresh and it's, they're not bored of doing it.
Yeah.
For sure. But I think it just depends how much time you've had to nurture that out of them. I would always though, I would rather, if we get to editing and we got those 2 I will always just happily go on a close up for the whole fucking scene. Happily, because I'm all about being inside people's personal space in film. I like being in people's personal space, and I would rather always have that and not have the wide. Always.
So now there's 4K and now there's 8, and we get to the point where we can just shoot wide and get closer.
No,
I would never do that. No. I would never punch in, and
that's ridiculous.
No, but
people think they can do that.
No, but you can.
I mean, you can.
And people do it a lot.
No, I know.
Yeah.
The thing is, this is the weird thing with that, is that it makes better sense, because you're not matching movements, you're not matching anything. In the edit, you're moving directly from a wide to the mid or the close up, and it's completely fluid because it's the same take.
Yeah.
But No, but this is why I love this stuff. Because this is what I find fascinating about. Because you can do that and you can lose no quality. You can now. Like as long as your focus is perfect.
You mean quality in terms of pixels?
Quality in terms of pixels, and like, as long as your focus is right.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're trying to shoot it under the same conditions. So it's like you're shooting the same conditions. You're saving time. You get fluid movement in transition. Why would you not ever do that? And for me, it's because the evolution of the communication of film has taught us not to expect that. Like we may not notice it half the time, but we know from cut to cut to cut to cut, nothing matches. Nothing matches. This person talking here, even in the biggest films, their mouth isn't moving when the fucking take is actually going most of the time, you know? Like, I think there's a subconscious thing that we've come to expect from film that weirdly, that smoothness, that really is more realistic and really what I think they more intended when they started film is tacky in a strange way.
And you can also achieve something that is extraordinary because it's not ordinal. You know, it's
it's removed from reality.
Putting together the peak moments.
Yep. And I think that's really important, and that's why, and we can talk about it again sometime, but frame rate is so important because it's that being removed from reality that's very important. And that drive that some stupid directors have nowadays to try and get closer to reality is worse for the film. Because that removal is very important for us to suspend the disbelief we need to be involved in that universe. Anyway, cool.
Good points.
I think we've talked very long.
So the next one, we're gonna have Alberto with us?
Yes, we'll be back next week.
Great.
Hang on, wait, one more check.
Oh, here we go.
This would be a nice way to end it. With me just crying on the floor.
There will be no next week in that.
Nothing. But directly after this, we're about to record our weekly show that we do called Geeks, where we talk about topical movie and game reviews. And I'm going to be continuing this. So if you want to continue this journey, head to Geeks. I think we're on episode 47 this week.
Oh, man.
We're up to our year long. We've been doing it for a year now.
Wow.
Okay. And I'll be continuing checking. So if you want to find, maybe I'll be crying or celebrating halfway through that show. We'll do this show every other Monday. But because we missed that Monday, we're still going to be back next Monday. And we're going to have Alberto, the DP. He's going to be a guest.
So we're going to talk about the DP and stuff. And
exactly.
And then are we going to do one in Colorado?
Yeah, we're going to do one in Colorado too, because that'll be 2 weeks out from now. So we should be the tail end of locations. So then we'll have more info. I think that should work out mathematically by calendars just before we all split.
Oh, okay. Right at the end of the stuff.
Next issue should be good because we'll have Alberto and the one after. Tons of information probably about our experiences in Colorado. And you won't have to have this obnoxious backing here. Thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate it. If you could subscribe to our channel, you're probably watching this on YouTube because I think that's the only place you can watch it right now. Subscribe to the channel. It's called We Are Tessellate. That's the name of our company. Going to put it up over all of our faces this week. wearetessellate.com. You can go there. You can check out our weekly podcast. You can link out to our social medias with We Are Tessellate and all of that. You can link out to some of our movies and our music videos and stuff like that. We're going to get a whole bunch of new stuff up. We've got some web series coming over the next couple of months. We've got some new podcasts as well. If you want retrospectives on franchises, we're starting with Friday the 13th, which starts next week, which is going to be fun.
Hell yeah.
And all that fun stuff. And if you want to contact us, email us. wearetessellate@outlook.com. I've been Al White. Thank you so much for joining me, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nate,
been a
see
pleasure.
you guys next week.
Yeah.
See you next
Absolutely.
week.
And we're out. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, man. There's some socks under my table here that's confusing me. I don't know how they got that.